Hello, my name is Donal and shortly I'm going to perform my presentation skills demonstration. In the absence of an audience in participation, I'm going to talk through what should happen during some activities, and I'll do a sample question and answer at the end. Good morning all, and welcome to our session on addressing customer complaints. This topic is a crucial part of the overall training programme, which covers customer service and continuous improvement in hospitality. Customer complaints is an area that a lot of people can find difficult. It can be an uncomfortable situation for both customers and for staff. It's an unpleasant experience, but it can be turned into a positive by using the tools and methods that we'll cover today. I have 3 handouts for today. The first is a printed copy of the slide deck where you can make some notes. We have a case study which we'll run through, and then we have the customer procedure framework, just a sample document, and at the end we hope to draw up our own one. Today's learning outcomes should be that we can all successfully deal with a customer complaint, that we all understand the importance of addressing complaints, and that we can all create our own customer complaints procedure. Now we'll just have a look at this quote. Courteous treatment will make a customer a walking advertisement. This comes from J.C. Penney. J.C. Penney is a merchant who established one of the largest chains of department stores in the USA. Not to be confused with Penneys that we see throughout Ireland and Spain. But J.C. Penney's first job was clerking in a general store at a salary of $2.27 per month. But he turned his operation into a multi-million-dollar industry. So dealing with a complaint in a courteous manner means you still have a chance that customer will leave a positive impression of the business and return another day. I'd like us to have a class discussion. I'd like some of you to share some customer complaint experiences that you might have had, and how you responded worked or how it didn't work. So at this point in the class, I'd strongly encourage the classroom to share individual experiences, and I as the trainer will share some of my experience of customer complaints. Okay, thank you all for your contributions there. We're going to move on now, and we're going to watch a video. This video is in place of a role play scenario, given that we don't have audience in participation. So we'll have a quick look at this video, and then we'll do a group discussion after it.
Tired of cold calling? Introducing Lucia, the easiest, most
Morning, sir. How can I help you today? You know what? I'm a little annoyed. I keep coming in here, and you guys keep screwing up. Now, I've had about enough, and I've taken my business somewhere else.
Sir, I can tell you're really frustrated, and I'd sincerely like to help you. Can you tell me what the problem is?
You know what the problem is? I bought this drill 2 weeks ago. I go home to use it, it doesn't work. I bring it back, and you guys give me this. It doesn't work as well. Now, I've spent a lot of time and money driving back and forth just to have you guys screw up over and over, and I've had it. I want my money back.
Okay, sir. So I just want to make sure that I understand. You purchased a drill from us, and you took it home. You found out it didn't work, so you came back, got a replacement drill, and that one didn't work as well?
That's exactly right.
You know what? I can understand your frustration. If I had purchased a drill and taken it home and twice it didn't work, I'd be really frustrated as well, especially when it was my valuable time that was at stake.
Finally, someone gets me.
Sir, I'm sorry you're unhappy with your purchase, and I'd like to work together to turn things around. Just like you, I would be really disappointed if this had happened to me. Is there something that I can do that would make this right? Can we come up with a solution?
You know what? All I want is to have a drill that works. I just want to leave here today, go home, and have a product that works.
Okay. So what if I were to go and get a drill from the back? We open up the package, allow for you to test it before you leave the store to make sure that it works. Would that be okay?
If you can bring a drill out here and prove to me that it's going to work when I leave, then fine. Yes.
Okay. If you bear with me one moment, I'll be right back, sir. Okay. Here you go, sir. Here's one that you can open up and make sure that it works before you leave. You all right?
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm supposed to work.
I want you to know that when I went back to grab this, I spoke to my manager. I want to thank you for taking the time and bringing this to our attention.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And you know what? I know I came in here a little hot-headed and frustrated, but I appreciate the fact that you were able to get me a drill that works today.
You're very welcome. I hope that next time that you have a need for something like this, that you'll think of us. There you go, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
We'll just return to the slide deck there now. So this video represents a fairly normal customer complaint, but it demonstrates that the server clearly has a plan in place to deal with a customer complaint, and it shows how he can control the situation, deal courteously with the customer, empathize
There's a
with
story
them.
told of this older couple from Maine, and
So we might discuss now how that situation could be relevant to your working environment. You all here are hospitality staff. I know from my experience in hospitality, we can very often deal with customer complaints because there's so many moving parts. Sometimes things go wrong, but where we have a framework where we can actively and proactively deal with a complaint, we can turn an unpleasant situation into a positive outcome. So this is where the trainer would actively encourage people to share their thoughts on the video, what they think worked, how they could integrate it into how they do things, and we will then move on to the next slide. Okay, everybody, thanks again for your contributions there. Some great comments, great ideas, and funny stories. We're going to move on now to our case study. So you should all have the case study in front of you. And just to change things around a bit, I'm going to invite all of you to maybe put a hand up to volunteer to read a paragraph each. And we'll go through it. So the case study is where a customer complaint goes viral, and it covers United Airlines damaging somebody's guitar and the story that goes with it. We'll also go through in detail the cause map and what couldn't have been done to address the issue. So at this point in the session, the trainer would have invited various people to read out a paragraph. The trainer would be very conscious that not all participants would be comfortable reading, so there'd be no pressure put on anyone. The trainer could step in and read aloud at points if there wasn't any volunteers forthcoming. And this activity should demonstrate the importance of dealing with customer complaints early and effectively. Okay, thank you to those who volunteered to read aloud. So it's not easy sometimes, so I appreciate the input. So I suppose the key point here is it shows how important it is to deal with a complaint early and effectively before it gets way out of hand and it goes international on you. So again, following simple steps can prevent a huge problem from being created. The video we watched, it was a simple complaint that was on a fairly low level, I suppose. This one obviously it's mega, it's huge, but how we deal with complaints will determine the course it goes in. So that was a very interactive and enjoyable activity. So I'm just going to move on just to quickly show you a visual. So just have a good look at this, and you will see that all these elements were involved in both the video and the case study. You know, be careful to listen to the customer. What is their problem? Respond to them in a positive way. Have patience with the customer, because more likely they're going to be a bit annoyed or upset, so have some patience with them. Be courteous to them. Courtesy is so important, and respect. You're a team player in this. You want to let the customer know that you're a team to solve what the problem is, that you're not part of the problem, that you're going to address this problem together, and that you want to show that you care about them. We'll go into this in a bit more detail in the next slide. So the initial customer complaint process, so this is a bit like in the video. The customer comes in, has an issue, and you need to deal with it kind of straight away. So again, we listen carefully, and we repeat back to the customer what we understand that their problem is. We ask some questions from the customer just to have a bit more clarity on what is the issue. We try and put ourselves in their shoes. We call this empathy. We want to try and feel what their pain is, so that it makes it easier for us to come up with a solution. We want to apologise to them, but without blaming maybe another department or another member of staff. We want to take responsibility for the issue, and we want to try and solve it. We give the customer the opportunity to suggest what would solve the problem for them, because they might just say, look, just give me a new plate of chips, or, you know, I just would like it to be warmer in here. They might already have the solution, and it might be a solution that you could easily implement. Again, we're here to solve the problem. If we can't solve the problem, we go and find the next person who can find it, or can solve the problem and can do it quickly. So you'll see a theme here that the quicker we can solve a complaint, the better for everybody. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody following? We're going to have a short question and answer session at the end, so, you know, anything you're unsure of, we can certainly come back to in the end. We're going to move on now to our customer complaint procedure framework. So this is the document you all have in front of you. So it's a sample framework of how you might deal with customer complaints. And one of the outcomes of this session is that as a group, we will draft up a proposed 10-step plan of how you deal with customer complaints in your business. So we'll go through these headings, and as I say, we hope to end up with something similar to this at the end. So now we've gone through all the points on it. We've all had a chat, and we all understand where we're going. So, as we say, we want to end up with a document that looks like this at the end of the day. So now we're going to split up into groups of 3. And the purpose of this activity is to give you all an opportunity to suggest your idea should be involved in a 10-step plan. So I hope that you all have engaging discussion. Bring your own ideas into it, your own experiences in it, and we're going to give about 10 minutes to this activity. I suggest you appoint somebody who's going to write down the points that you make, and maybe agree on someone who's going to put forward the points when we all finish up. So again, the purpose of brainstorming session in this training is it makes it that bit more interactive for the learners. They get to move around the class, creates a bit of movement, and gives an opportunity for them to discuss things themselves rather than just listening to the trainer throughout the whole session. it's important for the trainer to monitor the brainstorming between the groups to make sure they stay on point and that there's no arguments breaking out and that they're all working towards the goal of coming up with a 10-step point. At the end of the brainstorming, the intention then would be to collate all the information that has been presented by each group, so we all have a good idea of what everyone agrees on that should be in a 10-step plan. So thank you very much everyone. The brainstorming session is now finished, so we're going to go through all the points. I'm going to write them up on my flip chart here, and we may end up with maybe 20 points from all the different groups, and we'll have a discussion then to hopefully end up with a 10-step plan. So there's a couple of points might cross over, so we might combine them, but ultimately we'll end up with our 10-step plan, which is going to look like this framework document. And this will be your document to bring to your business, and something again that I hope you all have agreement on and you can all implement as soon as possible. Now we're going to have a quick question and answer session for anybody that would like to clarify anything or give any questions on what we've covered. I'd be very happy to go through that and we'll wrap up then. Okay, so the question here is, what do I do if I'm faced with an aggressive customer? Well, that's a very, very good question. What we've covered today sometimes may not be sufficient to deal with a very aggressive customer or customer who might appear to be becoming violent. We will be covering that topic in our next section, which is conflict management. Conflict management will cover where there's further conflict between perhaps staff, but more importantly maybe with customers. In hospitality, you can deal with customers who might be intoxicated, or you might not want them to gain entry to your place. So it's a very, very good question and very appropriate, and we will cover that in next week's session. Okay, well, thank you all for attending today. I appreciate that you've all attended on time. It makes a big difference to get going good and early so that we can complete the session on time. It was really good that you all contributed a fair share today. I hope you got as much out of this as I did today, and I really look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much.